Right. So a recent development has occurred in my personal life in which I quit my day job. Yay! I think it was completely justifiable. It's a long story. Maybe I'll tell it to you someday. But anyway, I did have an interview yesterday, and I think it went pretty well. I made them laugh without even trying. I suddenly have this urge to be creative. And with the Renfest coming up, with, spooky season coming up, I have gotten a lot more Etsy commissions on the way. And I have this one idea, and I want to walk it through you guys. Well, the reason that I started this out in here is because the dishwasher is running, and just my luck, that everything is so loud. But basically, my plan, this pattern with this fabric. Now look at that. Isn't that wonderful? I also have a lot of trimming. I have black lace, as well as some like navy, like this color bows, and well, not really bows, they're more like flowers with like pearls or jewels in the middle of them that I found at Joann's, and that's pretty good. But I do need to stop by Joann's later today because I forgot thread. I forgot thread, and I was also in the middle of doing Wirt's cape. I do sell it on my Etsy shop, and I plan on restocking that, so I plan on going there and getting the fabric today. But otherwise, I'm gonna cut all of this out, and I hope this makes it into a video because I have so many things planned, but I never really follow through. So that's the plan for today. And here we are. Once you are done attaching all of the fabric and the lining pieces together for the bodice, it's time to actually put the bodice together by sewing it along the sides as well as the top of the bodice, right sides together, as you're seeing now. Sorry if I sound weird, guys. I'm testing out a new way of recording, and I hope that this is all going well. After that, you clip all the curved corners and cut off any excess if there is any, just so it's easier for you to flip the garment right sides out and iron it flat. Did I just call it a garment? I meant bodice. Same thing, right? Is it possible to already be in love? Because I am. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I cut this perfectly. I was reading the instructions and I didn't see, it doesn't give you any recommendations as to when to actually finish off the seams. So I'm just gonna do this bottom edge of the sleeve before I actually attach the lace. And let me tell you guys, investing in a serger was one of the best creative decisions I have ever made. I use it any chance I get. And here you could just see me serging the raw edges of the sleeves, at least the bottom edge at least, and how I actually tie off the edges is that I just sew the extra thread back in itself. I hope that makes sense. You just saw me do it. And here you can see me doing a gathering stitch along the lace and then attaching it to the bottom of the sleeves. I feel like I explained this already. Why am I doing a voiceover? The trick, once again, about gathering is to not think. Iron the seam upwards so that way. Yeah, I like that. I like this finish a whole lot more. Now I see why they wanted me to do it like that, because so the raw edge is up here and you don't see where the lace was basted. After assessing everything, I hate gathers on sleeves so much because there's a pucker there, there's a little pucker here, there's a big one right here, I don't know if you can see that, and there's like a little one over here. Am I going to care? I don't think so. This is actually very good practice for me. Now I believe the next thing we have to worry about is attaching the lace up front here. And in terms of the back side, well, I think if I'm going to finish these edges, I'll just do it by hand because I do not trust the serger over there. Okay, well now I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I can't decide between the shorter lace or the longer lace. I use the longer lace on the sleeves, as you can tell, but I don't really want to cover up the skulls, but at the same time, it's more, I don't know, it adds more of like a sort of unison, and also these ones have more like little, more detailed flowers on them. One thing I believe I am getting better at is letting go of perfectionism and hand stitching. So right now, I mean, I know, like I said, there isn't really a way to like serge all of these edges. I'm just gonna do it by hand with this blanket stitch here. And I find that I'm getting good at it. It's good when you have a lot of practice. And you know, since I collect a lot of historical garments too, I'm seeing how the insides are made and how a lot of raw edges are just left to the masses. And I'm just kind of treating it the same way because after all, this dress is meant for a doll. It's not going to go through that much wear and tear, especially on the inside. So, yeah, I think I'm making good progress in myself. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, I think so. I still haven't decided which lace to try. I was just thinking about how I could have double layered it and it would have been really lacy, but then since it's black, you wouldn't really see much of that texture. On to the skirt.
You can probably tell by now that because of this project, I have a love-hate relationship with gathers, but it's okay. The skirt turns out fabulous. You just have to have a little faith in yourself. So there are 3 tiers to the front of the skirt, and here you can see me doing gathering stitches of the middle tier, both on the top and the bottom, before attaching it to the bottom of the top tier of the front side of the skirt. So then it will look a little something like this. You sew that all down, and I try to perfect the gathers as I'm sewing by using a needle to just try to pinpoint exactly the width of the gathers that I wanted before serging that raw edge because I wanted it to be neat, and ironing it flat before attaching the bottom tier to the middle tier of the skirt. Now, keep in mind that you have to gather everything at a certain length. I forgot about that. But yeah, I have a feeling that was the hardest part. But like I said, have a little faith in yourself.
Do I like how this turned out? Not really. Is this gonna be covered in lace? Probably. Also I have flowers, so I'm gonna make it pretty, don't you worry. So what I'm thinking is, just so I don't cover up this like middle ruffle too much, I'm gonna put the smaller trim, the smaller lace on the top, and then the longer one at the bottom, so there is a bit of unison, and that way I can choose whichever for the actual bodice part when I get there. And then for the blue flowers, I'm just gonna sprinkle it around, or I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna wait, and then I'm just gonna put them on like appliques. We are making decisions. This is great. I mean, I could also like layer it like this, but then I'm like, then it makes it too black. It makes it too dark. I kind of like seeing the purple underneath it. Also, don't forget to serge this edge. I almost forgot about that. Alright, here are my plans basically for how I'm going to sew this on. I've already just done like a basic back stitch for the lace, but then I'm attaching these little tiny flowers by stitching a knot in the back of it, then deciding where I want to put these. I'm thinking right there, then pass it through onto the other side. Go back up, bring it back up, and then make another couple of stitches on the back side before stitching it down. And I think I'm only going to do this about 3-4 times if need be. So yeah, now with the power of editing. This is me realizing just how big the skirt actually is before sewing it down. Alright, nice. Once I sewed all of the underskirt pieces together, it was time to gather up all of the patience I could muster as I practiced hand stitching. Yep, you heard me right, hand stitching an invisible hem all along the bottom of the skirt. Now, this process, like I said, did take a lot of patience and a lot of practice, but look, it is incredible. So this process basically involves creating a hem, pressing it flat, and then with your needle, sewing a stitch on the rolled hem,
and then just catching about a thread or two, just a very tiny stitch above it on the actual outside fabric. So it might be visible if you get too much, but like I said, lots of practice and patience. I have, in fact, reached a point where I can see a little bit of a fatal flaw, at least in terms of my perfectionism. So, the instructions say to hem the skirt, which I did with this sort of like, I call it like a half herringbone, half like a, just some kind of hemming stitch, just so there's a bit more movement because it is on a curve after all. But then it told me to match up the top with the bodice, which, where did it go? Yeah, to just kind of line the top of the bodice with the rest and then hem the sides. But I don't like that. I like to hem the sides and then hem the bottom so that way this raw edge is encased. Even though I did serge it, it looks okay. I mean, it's okay. I mean, nobody's gonna see this anyway, but it's just, it kind of bothers me. And then, well, the next step, at least I do have control over this one, is to hem the 3 sides of this overskirt, which I am very excited for because look at that, and this project is taking forever. So what I plan to do is to hem the side seams and then hem the bottom so that way all of that is encased and it's pretty, and then do the gathering stitches. However, I feel like I need to see if I can recut this, because if not, I should really check to see the quality of the fabric, to see if there's any holes in it before I buy it, because look at that shit. I mean, if not, I could like endouse this with a bunch of these again. I mean, this project is taking forever, much longer than I anticipated. Isn't that how all projects go? I must be cursed or something. Anyway, here you can see me hemming all sides of the overskirt before gathering the top edge and attaching it to the underskirt to create this. Oh, now look at that. It's like a colonial dream. Ah. And then I top stitched all the skirts together just so it would stay in place before actually attaching it to the bodice. And look at that. You can't even see what I'm doing. Sorry guys, I'm a bit rusty. I haven't done this in a while. But then in the next shot, this is funny, you can see me just how overjoyed I am at how it ends up looking. Like, you know how, like that part where you do one step of the process and then you can see the final result. And I was just trying to be very quiet because my mom was in the same room as me. I don't know, just watch. To create the bows, it was super easy. I just created rectangles similar to what I did for Word's Cape, and then I tied it in a knot to create little tiny bows. Look how cute! I am finally on the last page, but I was kind of getting stumped because I'm like, wait, how do I close up the back? How do I close up the back? It just says attach Velcro to center back, keeping overskirt panels free. Okay, but then I look over on page 2, and right down at the bottom it says my gowns have an easy on feature. The entire back is opened and closes. We are not judging grammar here. The entire back opens and closes with Velcro. So that would explain why they wanted me to hem all sides of the skirt. So what I have here is Velcro, because yeah, I'm kind of tired of snaps. I'm so tired of snaps, guys. It's just, I like it. It makes it easy, but it stresses me out so much. So what I'm gonna do is just make a series of Velcro strips that I'm gonna put on the skirt, which my only advice for this, I mean, the good thing too is that this is thin enough where you can use it on doll clothes. Let's just go slow. Here's the thing about Velcro.
The stitches may be visible, but that's okay. Is it being covered up by the overskirt? Yes, and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's why I left a gap here, so that way it could actually cover it up and it'd be easier to. Now, another reason why I was kind of hesitant to hem the skirt before putting it all together, the overskirt, perfect. It's a fucking miracle. Here, not so much. As long as you don't do this, I think. Yeah. I mean, hey, on the plus side, it's easier to just undo all of this like hand stitching that I did where, you know, the hem is practically invisible as it is, to redo it or to cover it up. I just love this. Okay, I say that there are only 2 steps left on this project. It's to, you know, basically make these like curtains and attach the bows on each side, and to finally pick which lace I want in the front.
I brought Kanani out as my model, and honestly, I really enjoyed this project. Even though it turned out to be a bit more tricky than I anticipated, and it took a little longer than expected, I ended up learning a lot, and I loved the final result. So, to finish off the skirt, I essentially pulled back the curtains, if you will, of the overskirt, pinned them in place, made a couple of adjustments to see where the bow should go, and then tied the bows down just like appliques. And, again, lots of hand sewing. I'm absolutely in love, and I think I have chosen the smaller one, just because, okay, either way, it looks like this skull is wearing a veil, but I used the longer lace for the sleeves as well as the bottom tier, so I think it's only fair that the smaller one I use up here so that way it's more unison. But look at that, Kanani, you're fucking fabulous! After sewing the lace down with a back stitch all along the neckline, the dress was complete. I really enjoyed this project, and I hope you did too. And if you're interested in seeing more of the doll clothes that I have created, consider checking out my Etsy shop. I might do this a lot more often. And with that, my name is Kaylee. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you want, and I shall see you in my next sewing adventure. Happy autumn!
Before